Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It's time for another live stream. Today is... Sorry, I'm eating some cookie dough flavored Twix. My mouth is full. I apologize for that. But today is Thursday, February 2024. And today, we've got a package in here from Hydrapak. I've had it for a couple of days. And then all of a sudden, the day before I'm set to open it up, I'm seeing it all over Instagram. So you guys probably have already seen it by now, but we'll take a look at it here and maybe I can explain it a little bit more. If it's what I think it is. It could be something different completely. I'm not really sure, but we'll see what it is together. But before we get to that, let's say hi to everyone listening on the podcast, on the audio only version. Hopefully having a good run today. For me here, it was like 50 degrees for my run today. I ran in half tights and a long sleeve, no gloves. Yesterday I ran in mittens. Today, no gloves. I probably could have even run in a short sleeve t-shirt, maybe even a singlet if I wanted to. I had some speed work for today, but it's weird because it's February. I'm basically on the Wisconsin border. Something's wrong, but the weather was pretty nice for running. We did have some strong headwinds though, but I managed to align the workout. So I had a tailwind for like half of the reps. The other half, there was like a side wind. But I feel like I lined it up about as good as you can. So hopefully you have tailwinds and nice weather wherever you are. And for those of you watching this later but not live, welcome to the #1 running podcast to listen to in case you're fired up from watching all the news and stuff that's on today. It's a pretty big news day, I guess. Lots to talk about. My wife and I were chatting about it a little bit today, so I'm running a little bit late. But you know what? Sometimes it's good to take a break from that kind of stuff and escape. So this will be an escape for us all. All right, let's see who we got here in the chat. Someone was saying they just did the 6x6 today. Where did it go? Matt Byer says, I did a 5 times 6 minutes at threshold today. Ran out of time for the last rep, but he felt great with 7:02 average pace. Nice work, nice work. That's a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys are liking that workout. I like it a lot too. I just have fun with it. But I just feel like I'm not going to be able to run it a lot in the near future. I've been getting all these different kinds of workouts. Today's workout for me was 10 times 2 minutes at about a little bit slower than 5K pace. Just a little bit, by a couple of seconds. 2 minutes, so 2 minutes on and 2 minutes off, times 10, and then 10 miles total. It was fun. I ran in the CLX1 again today. And I don't know. I'm liking that shoe more and more the more I run in it. It's still heavy, but I'm liking it more and more. All right, let's see who else we got in here. Zach James says, hey, Co and fam, my half start time got moved up a whole hour to 6:30 to avoid traffic snarls. How early is too early? Where are you, Zach James? You got your half marathon start time 6:30? I've only been to a half marathon that started that early once. And it was in Miami for the Miami Half Marathon. Even though that race is in like January, maybe early February, they started that early because it still gets hot, you know? So, interesting. I think much more than 6:30. That's starting to get really early. Unless it's a very small race. But then even then, if it's a small race, you shouldn't have to start that early. And Danny Guglielza says, hey, Co, I did the 6x6 workout this morning and actually went by fast. Do you monitor using threshold heart rate from the watch? I think I need a chest rate for better accuracy. For my threshold, if I'm monitoring it, at this point, I know I use my heart rate as a double check. Power, it would probably be the most, I guess, instantaneous way to figure out if you're doing it right, if you figure out your power zones. And like if you're using Stride, the critical power number is right around where you should be doing this workout. And so that's an easy way to kind of set it up. Otherwise, if you kind of, once you do it a couple times, you'll figure out like kind of what it takes to get to the end of the workout. Because the first one is not impossible. And then the last one, if you went out too hard, the last one, you'll really feel it. And so, but it should be somewhere closer to half marathon pace, but between half marathon pace and 10K pace is usually where it ends up being for me. And so like the idea is to figure out what that effort is. In terms of body signals, for me, if I'm running it too hard, I might start to feel a different level of burning in my quads not literal burning, but you know what I mean, feel the burn, kind of burning. And I might start to feel it like a strain in my diaphragm, like in my belly. Like that my core is working extra hard. So those are some like physical signals that I personally look for. But yeah, the workout goes fast because the minute recoveries are like way too short. But yeah, and then I usually look at the heart rate afterwards, you know. And that'll confirm like, oh man, I really did have to work hard for that last one. Maybe I hit the pace range I thought I was going to hit, but if my heart rate is like 5-7 beats higher than it should be, then you know you kind of probably pushed it a little too hard. So that's how I look at that workout. And Calvin did the 6x6 yesterday on the treadmill. I can notice the fitness is moving as my threshold pace was slightly faster and my heart rate was lower for the run. See, I feel like that's how it should be. Over time, you keep doing it within a block, and you get better and better. Maddie Max says, it's a beautiful day in Ohio. I want to go out for another run. Oh, that's always a good sign. Yeah. Otto Vogrinchik says, hello, everyone. Great video on the SC Elite 4, Co. It's a little bit pricey. Might run in Crocs instead. Well, some people have done that. I've seen it in Tokyo. But yeah, I like the SC Elite 4. It's over here. Sometimes I feel underwhelmed by it, but sometimes I just think that it's not chaotic, and I like chaos. And I think that it's a better. I don't know. It just same thing with like the Rebel. The Rebel, I'm kind of like the Rebel. I do think is too wide. Look how wide this is. It needs to be a little bit more neutral than this. But I just feel like these shoes grow on you, and they're good, but they don't jump out at me. You know. So I don't know. Hopefully people enjoy the video. Hopefully people like the shoe. I'm looking forward to finally like reading other people's reviews now too, because it's been around for a while. People have had it for a long time, so there's been a lot of reviews. So yeah. Joe Carter says, as far as early start for races, Jack and Jill's might be 6:30. Oh, I think you're right. I forget what time Tunnel Marathon started. And Mark says the Grandma's Half Marathon starts at 6 a.m. every year. Oh, it's an early start. That's got to be a pretty crisp morning in Duluth, though. Interesting. I didn't know that. Zach James says his race, that's now moving up to 6:30, is in Wilmington, North Carolina. The 4.5 start at the beach and end downtown. They might have moved it up, not because they want it to start earlier, but they want it to finish earlier. That could be it. And Ride Run Coffee says the Oklahoma City Marathon in April starts at 6:30. Someone was telling me, I met someone who's in Ride Run Coffee. Is this you? I met someone who's involved with the race. And they said it's kind of a very different kind of run than normal because it's a memorial race. And I wonder if the start time has anything to do with that, does it? I don't know. I guess this is pretty common. JC says 6:30 is a good idea for summer races. And he says our half marathon in Tijuana is at 6:30 time because in July it gets hot or super humid. And that makes sense. Wait a minute. Eric says, hey everyone, just saying howdy from Denver Airport. Headed to Phoenix for Black Canyon's 100K. Is Black Canyon this week? Huh. That's wild. And, okay. Zachary, I've been calling him Zach James because I think that sounds funny. But he says his last name is Jaimes. It's Jaimes for those of you listening. Jaimes. I'm sorry. I do like Zach James, but Zachary Jaimes. My apologies. Thank you for correcting me. All right. And Lawrence House says, Casey Neistat posted a video today. He finally read sub 3-hour marathon after trying for years. I thought people already knew about that. Was it this week? I recently met, there's a photograph of him finishing. And I met the photographer who took his sub 3 finishing photo. Like that person that took the photo. Like it wasn't his photographer that came to film a video for him. It was just a photographer who happened to be at the race. I met that photographer recently. I didn't know that video only just came out now. Daniel Estrella says, Ben Johnson did the 6x6 this morning on the treadmill as well. It's not becoming an industry standard. Oh my goodness. I hope, I know Frank LaHulier doesn't particularly love this workout. And I know not everyone loves the workout. So hopefully I have not done a bad thing here, but I do love that workout. It's so much fun. And I enjoy that people are doing it. I'm glad that people aren't mad about it. I'm glad that people are like, this workout is terrible. This makes no sense. I'm glad people aren't like, this makes no sense. Okay. Calvin Wong says, my marathon is May 19th and it's a 6 a.m. start. 5 a.m. for those finishing over 4 hours. It's an out and back. And I guess there's an early road opening at the turnaround point. Oh, wow. 5 a.m. 5 a.m. start. What time does the Hawaii marathon start? Like the Honolulu? What's the one that there's that they have a mile race on Saturday and then they have the marathon on Sunday. Sage just ran it. It's in Hawaii. It starts in the dark, and the way the timing works out, it's dark until about the half marathon point for most runners. What time does that one start? Or is it just how it is in Hawaii? They start all the races in the dark because it gets hot. I don't know. Steve says, yo, what's going on? Glad the trials were last weekend. It's going to be 80. It's going to be 80. Wow. Here's what I think will happen. There was a polar vortex the week before the trials. And so like all this cold air came down. And I feel like this is the rebound from that. And also, is this an El Nino year? We got an El Nino year. We got the atmospheric river on the West Coast. So I just feel like, I don't know. I don't know anything about weather. I mean, I've been a lifelong weather aficionado. You know, I've watched the weather. I mean, I don't know. My dad always watched the weather. It was like the only channel he would watch a long time ago. And then he realized he liked watching tennis and golf on TV. But before that, it was just Weather Channel. This was back where every 8 minutes it went to that blue screen with the smooth jazz. Like he would just watch that over and repeat. And I would also watch with it. So I've always loved watching weather. Locally, Tom Skilling just retired. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tom Skilling. The guy's awesome. And then Demetrius Ivory has taken over as like the lead meteorologist for WGN Channel 9, which I remember when he started. I remember when he first started on the morning team. And then he met and married another one of the anchors on the morning team. And then they had kids. And so to figure out the daycare situation, he has to be moved to the evening. And now he's taken over for Tom Skilling. I'm a big fan of Demetrius Ivory. He's a good guy. I feel like anyone? No. Okay. Everyone that's not a local Chicago news watcher is just like, what? What's happening here? Steve McKellar says Cayman Islands was a 5:30 a.m. start. I feel like a Cayman Islands race, that's got to be hot, you know? Average Runner says, can someone explain the 6 times 6 minutes at threshold? No contact. Yeah, so the 6x6 is I do a workout that's 6 reps of 6 minutes at threshold effort, which is somewhere between your half marathon and your 10K pace for most runners. Or the other way to look at it, it's a pace that you could race all out for between 40 to 60 minutes. The recovery is very short. It's a minute long. You could walk, you could stand there. If you're really, which is it, a sadist, a masochist, you could jog the recoveries. And I think technically when you're doing cruise intervals from Jack Daniels, you're supposed to be jogging them at a float and not even just a jog. But the way I do it is I walk. And it's a tough workout, but I feel like it gets you really fit for marathon training. I do it a lot. And it's so much that people have been teasing me about it, but now other people have been starting to do it too. So, yeah. And Joe Carter says, I will say, I think the 6x6 should be faster than lactate threshold, closer to 10K. Maybe, probably. If you're going to walk the recoveries, probably. Yeah. But that just means I have to work so much harder. It's such a hard workout as it is. And Steve Zabrowski says, the Google machine says it's a 5 a.m. December 8th start for the Honolulu Marathon. Oh, so there are earlier marathons. So it looks like the consensus is 5 a.m. start. That's the earliest, right? Sometimes 5:30 is really early, but 6:30 is not unheard of, but it is early. The only earlier time, I guess, than that would have been like the marathon championships when was at Doha, the desert. They started at midnight. That was a race where, and I've never seen. And you know what? Maybe there were studies about it. Maybe there was follow-up data, but I haven't seen it. So I forget what year it was. Maybe it was 2018, 26, 28. Was it 2018? It must have been 2018. World Championships Marathon was in Doha, in the desert. It was a long, flat road, and they just went. It was literally an out and back. It was that flat and that straight. No turns. Zero elevation grade change. But it was so hot, they did the whole ice vest and the ice chest thing, and like every aid station had just bags and bags of ice and sponges and everything that you could want. And they had the athletes that chose to participate swallow probes, I'm assuming it's something that looked like a horse pill of some sort. And it was supposed to be able to transmit body temp data over the course of the race. And I'm not sure what other sensors they can piggyback in there, or what you would even else want in there, or what happens to the sensor later. I don't want to know any of that. But I want to know what happened with the heat data. I remember that race, like a third of the field dropped. Everyone, I feel like whatever, and the announcers were talking about it too, like the athletic federations from the different countries probably had requirements before for like appearance fees, and so like all the runners from like the same country would all drop out at like the same places. It was a weird day. Calvin Long said, was it a suppository probe or a stomach? It was an oral. They swallowed. As far as I know, I mean, we didn't see anyone take it. So I don't know. Yeah, Kenneth said, didn't that marathon start at midnight? Yeah, it was like a 12:01 start. It was weird. And Kim says the Tromsø Midnight Sun Marathon in Norway, also midnight start, June 22nd. Is that a time where is that above the what is it, the Arctic Circle? Was it 24 hours? If it's called the Sun Marathon and it starts at midnight, probably still sunny. Richard Wilson says, a lot of ultras have crazy starts. Well, Western States is 5 a.m. It's very dark when they start. I mean, I guess you start to see some sun when you get the escarpment, right? And Kim says, yeah, that midnight sun race, it's almost permanent daylight at that point. That sounds awesome. JC says, you haven't lived until you've done an overnight relay or a long ultra. I've only done the former. Running at 2 a.m. makes you feel pretty stupid. Well, you guys saw in my last video, the runner's weekend, I didn't do a run because it was at like 7:30. It was too dark. I really don't like running in the dark. All right. Eliza says, box. All right, let's get to the box for today. This is from Hydrapak. You guys know I've been using that one Hydrapak flask. It's like 5 ounces. It's a soft flask. And I've been making Tailwind slurry and putting that in it. And so Tailwind is about like per every scoop of Tailwind. No, not Tailwind. Scratch. Every scoop of Scratch gives you 20 grams of sugar, and it costs a little bit less than $1 for the mix. And so that's cheaper if I mix that up. Let's say it's just an easy run and I want to have a little bit of sugar at some point during the run because I'm going to be out there for like an hour and a half or more. I'll make a little slurry. And it's pretty cheap. Cheaper than a gel. So. Eliza says, I like morning dark runs to do thinking. And Frank says, you're fine running in the dark in the morning, though. Kind of. If you've noticed, I don't really do a lot of early morning runs anymore. I use that time to work on videos now because I can run after I drop the kids off at school since I don't have to go to an office anymore. So I have not been doing a lot of very early morning runs. So, yeah. All right. I hope this is what I think it is. And it is. All right. So this is from Hydrapak. Oh, they put a couple of things in here. Oh, there's even a note inside. Look at that. They got a note. Oh, hi, Mike. Packed you up some goodies. In this kit, you'll have Hydrapak's new Tempo Squeeze bottle packs. Here's to hoping the 3-color coated bottles helps form a strong hydration strategy for you and all runners. I threw in another handheld and a speed cup if you want to try going cupless at your next race. Thank you, Mike, from the Hydrapak team. Cool. All right, so here is this Hydrapak cup. I already have a couple of these. I had to get them for that 50K that I did a really long time ago. It was a cupless race. And what was it? The Soul Crusher 10 mile that I did over here in Veterans Acres Park in Crystal Lake. It wasn't a cupless race, but I brought my own cup, so I didn't have to use any cups for that trail race. So I'm a big fan because these crumple up and you can just stick them in your pack or even in your half tights really easy. And then you've got a cup. You don't have to use a plastic cup or a paper cup whenever you go to your next race. So these are fun. It's good to have, it's not a bad idea to get a bunch of them. You know what I mean? Just that way you always have some, or you give them away to friends so they can have some too. And then let's talk about this here. A little soft flask action here. This is nice. I've never had a soft flask before. So this one has a thumb loop strap and even has like a little thing that says "Try me," thumb loop strap. So the volume on this is, let's see. It seems like it's insulated too, so that's nice. It's almost like softer, which is good. I don't know what the volume is on this one. 17.8 ounces, so the size of a standard bottle. And then thumb loop. Where does this thumb loop go? I gotta figure this out. Okay. Like that? No. Like that. Maybe. Is this right? I think this looks right. Feels comfy. Now the question is, the main reason I don't really use bottles like this is because I'm already running with a selfie stick. But I think this is soft enough that I could probably still have, with this thumb loop now, I could still access and do stuff with the cameras and then keep running. I think I'm using it wrong. I got to figure out a better way to do this. I think I had it right. There we go. Megan Murray likes to run like this. Ben Johnson just runs with a regular bottle with like a silicone strap on it, but this is really nice to the touch. I think I'm going to try this. Maybe I'll bring it out for a next long run. I'll do that one. All right. Sean Devlin says there are bad reviews on the hand strap, though. I'll have to check it out. I'll have to see. I mean, I haven't reviewed any other hand straps, so, let's see. And C. Chad Run says the gray Sky Flask is insulated. Great for those cold runs. Yeah. Very cool. Hydrapak has a lot of stuff. I have a lot of Hydrapak bottles. They're usually branded with something else, though. But I've always had good experience with these, and I'm looking forward to trying something new. All right. Frank says, the big question I always have with running with a Sky Flask is whether to put it in my pocket when I've drunk it all up or just run with it squished down flask. I feel like you can go either way. You can run with it squished down, but I would say if you could fit it into if you got like one of those larger back pockets, like the Rabbit Trail shorts have a large back pocket. Some of the John G tights have a large back pocket. I feel like that could work out. It depends. I mean, I guess it's easier if you have a pack. But I guess if you have a pack, you don't need the handheld, right? Probably. So Yeah, I think it can go either way. And all right, C Chad Run says hand goes between the straps, then thumb in the whole strap. Oh, hand goes in between the straps, then thumb goes in here, like this. Oh, there we go. Seems kind of backwards. I'm not sure. I'll look at it some more. Oh, that's on there. Pretty good. Does this look right? Does this look right? I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't even know how to show you guys if I'm doing it right or not. It's kind of weird, though, when it's empty and it's just kind of like limp. All right. We'll figure it out. All right. Finny Fin says, yeah, I must keep it squished in my hand kind of guy. I think that's kind of how I'd use it. And C Chad Run says, if you put your hand in it right, it allows you to hold it without holding it. I think I see what you mean. I think I did have it right. It was nice, and it keeps your fingers freer, you know. All right. The bottles. So let's get one of these out. So there's 3 things going on with these bottles. There's 3 bottles in here. Hydrate, energize, and recover. 3-bottle strategy. Look at this. You know what? Oh, this is oh my goodness. I love this size. So it's not I wish I had a regular water bottle down here. Oh, but cool. Look at this. Oh, that's amazing. The volume on this is 400 mils. And, it says it right. 14 ounces. And it is filter compatible. So if you have like the water purifying filters, which I had to pick up a couple for that Hut Run Hunt trip that I did. So I do have some of those. And I like this size. I always get super excited about like smaller size water bottles because I feel like the ones that fit in a bike cage are great size for cyclists, but I don't feel like they're a great size for runners. So this one, I really love this size. I don't have a lot of bottles this size. The other one that I have that's this size is the Eugene Marathon ones, are kind of this size. But I feel like these are the size of the bottles that like Elliot has. You know what I'm saying? This is a good bottle size. But the idea is the different color codes let you know what's in here: hydrate, energize, and recover. So there you go. Ergonomic soft squeeze. Let's get this back out here. It's a pretty nice soft squeeze. I like that. It's top rack dishwasher safe as well. So that's pretty cool. So the idea is that like whenever I go for a run, I've got like I'm hugging a bunch of bottles, which I guess this doesn't really solve that problem. But I usually have something to drink on the way there. And then I'll have either fluids for while I'm during the run, which is usually my little 5 millimeter flask. But this I can kind of hide somewhere along the route and pick up, which I've done that before on really, really long runs. And then I usually have a bottle for afterwards that has my recovery mix inside. So you can have all your 3 drinks. It reminds you that you need lots of different things, you know? I like that. It's a nice little set. I don't know that you need 3. I mean, because we all have lots of bottles, but I just do like this size. Like, by 3, I mean, I don't think you needed them to be 3 different colors, but I suppose it helps you. So that way, like, if you're like, uh-oh, and the bottles got shuffled, and like, what's in it? Then you don't have to taste it to check. But I guess that's not that big a deal, right? All right, Adams, to smell them like you do with the shoes. All right, let's check out this blue one and smell it. It does say that it's BPA and PVC free. It smells like a plastic bottle. Yeah, it just smells like normal. Wait, it says, do they all say? Oh, they all say tempo on the bottom too. But that's the idea. Get your nutrition straight. Make sure you know what's in your bottles. I like this size too. Frank says, I'm still interested in the Clayton Young strategy of having a big bottle at the stations with a smaller bottle and a hat frozen inside it. Seems very fiddly to open it and pull it out. Yeah, I saw that video and I did not understand what was happening there. Like, is that what it was? Makes sense. Because I know, who was I talking to? I think I was talking to, no, was I talking to someone about it? It might have been when I was talking to James McCurdy. But I think I was, no, I think I read a report about it. There was discussion at the technical meeting. I was not there for the I don't get invited to those things. Sometimes I crash the technical meetings. I do that at CIM. But at that event like this, they wouldn't let me in there. Not that I tried. I didn't even try. I don't even know when it was. But they were saying like, all right, with the bottles, you can attach a gel to a bottle. They're like, what else can we attach to it? Like, can we attach like a freezer, like a ice pack, you know? And I do think I was telling this to James McCurdy because we had a long, and because the last time I saw James McCurdy was in Budapest, and he was part of the Team USA delegation, which at World Championships, you're allowed to hand stuff to the athletes. And so like he was able to, like if you wanted someone to hand you a hat, they could hand you a hat. Rory Linkletter had those, it's like a glow stick, but it's cold. It's a little pack and you crumple it up and then it generates cold. I know that's not technically the right chemical phrase for it, but it generates cold. So they would hand him like those things, or they'd be taped to his bottles. And I remember USATF was saying, and I think Track Jack was saying like, these things have to be transported and there's a lot of them. Like, don't make it too cumbersome because if things fall off, we can't reattach them for you. So that's an interesting way that he did it. A big content, but you know what? I didn't ever see him any footage of. I guess I didn't watch I still haven't watched the replay, but like, I guess I didn't see him open those up though. You know. Super Unjit says, I remember my dad hiding water bottles in the ditches along the country roads we lived on when I was a kid. It was the early 80s. He was running sub-3 marathons, drinking only water, no nutrition. You know what's so surprising about that? Is that he was even drinking water. Because I feel like back in the early 80s, they weren't drinking water. Drinking water was a weakness back then. Otto Vagrinchik wants to know, what's the Pegasus 40, the last Nike shoe I reviewed? I think after that I reviewed the Invincible Vomero. It was Peg 4 Trail Gore-Tex after that. I'm looking at them down there. So there were those. I reviewed the Vomero, didn't I? Or did I not? I don't know if I know I've run it. I've made reels about it. I don't know that I reviewed it. I know I reviewed the Invincible. And I've made reels about Vaporfly 3, Alphafly 2. I have marked on my calendar when the Alphafly 3 restock comes. It's April. So I'll try to get it there. But yeah. Yeah, Finn says, obligatory moment to mention the 1904 Olympic Marathon in St. Louis for worst hydration policy ever. Well worth a read of the wiki page. You know, it's so wild, that story, that it's hard to believe that it's actually true, but I'm pretty sure that Wikipedia page is actually factually correct. You know? And Frank says, race nutrition has had a bigger influence on marathon performance in the last 10 years than shoes. Oh, that's a big statement. 10 years? Maybe. I think it goes a long way, for sure. I don't know. You know, it's like, at the end of it, though, it's like, at least for the marathon men's, it's like, well, I don't know. Did the U.S. have... Did the U.S. have more sub 210 guys in the 90s than it does now? I'm not sure. I mean, I wasn't following marathoning in the 90s. But it's like you hear about like the times that like Shorter was running, in the shoes he was running, and the state of nutrition and exercise science. I feel like exercise science has come a long way. I think I would make that statement about exercise science. We know more about how to train for a marathon, I would say. Maybe in the last 10 years, I don't know, maybe. I think more people know more. I think the people that knew a lot already knew this stuff for a long time. Like Coach V. Hill, that guy knew. Bob Larson, that guy knew. But like, did a lot of people know? No, but now I think a lot of people know. Because I think everything before that was like, all right, Do it the Zetapek way. 4,400 meter repeats at mile race pace on a Tuesday. And then see if you could beat your times on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Nate Rodriguez says, you think you will review the Rebellion Flash 2? Maybe. We'll see. I just did not like... I had such high hopes for the Wave Rebellion. Is it called Wave Rebellion? Because there's a Wave Rebellion. This is Wave Rebellion. And then this is Wave Rebellion Flash. Yeah, this is the Flash. Which is not a 2. It's a Wave Rebellion Flash. And then the next one I think is going to be Wave Rebellion Flash 2. So I had really high hopes for this one, but it just was not what I thought it was going to be. I have a feeling the Flash 2, it looks great. I only got to see it very briefly in TRE, but I don't know that I'll get it. I still don't even have Wave Rebellion Pro 2. So I don't know. Matthias Ventes says, in the early 2000s, my exercise physiology professor said that strength and conditioning was still in the dark ages, as far as what we know. I mean, I don't know. It kind of sounds about right. Because I just feel like, in the couple of times that I've kind of started and restarted going to the gym and lifting weights, it just seems like everything that I learned at the turn of the century, late 90s into the early 2000s, now when you do those, people are like, that's a really good way to injure yourself. Like, that's a really great way if you want to, like, have a shoulder tear or rotator cuff tear, keep doing that. That's actually how we test if you're injured. You do that motion just without weight. So, like, I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't really remember what I did. And what I do remember I did is bad for me, I guess. So, I don't know. And Frank says, strength training for running is still in the dark ages as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't know. We don't know what we don't... Do we know what we don't know? I think it's just so hard. Exercise physiology is so hard to study on academically, I think. That's the hard thing. Super Ninja says, Kogo's a super sarcasm gym. Hey, that's a great way to ruin your body. Keep it up. That's how it feels going to the gym sometimes, though. Just any regular gym, Adam says, like, well, should runners strength train like Ryan Hall? I don't know. I don't really think we should. He's not training. He's not optimizing for distance running. I mean, I still think that he could throw down if he wants to, but I don't think he really is super interested in that. I've had one conversation with him before. It was very, very short. Yeah. Jason Horner says, are you planning on attending the Olympics in Paris and watching the marathon? To be determined, but that's my plan. Mentally, I've blocked off some days on the calendar, But, plans aren't finalized till plans are finalized. Zachary Hymus says, any traction on meeting or talking with Nick Bear? I've never reached out to him. I don't think that's... I don't think he'd be really that interested, Oliver Grinchik says, I'm not sure you talked about it on another episode, but what are your thoughts on the whole enhanced Olympics? I think it's a terrible idea. I will not be watching it. I'm not super interested in it. So if other people want to watch it, fine, I guess, but I just think that it's there's two reasons why banned substances are banned substances. And I feel like if they don't fall into these two categories, and primarily in one category in particular, I don't feel like they should be banned. We should reevaluate while we're banning things, right? So the one is the whole fairness thing, right? So that's kind of one idea. If there is a certain kind of technology or medical procedure that's super very expensive, then is it fair that only super wealthy countries or athletes would be able to afford it? There's the fairness aspect of it, which I think is interesting, but ultimately tenuous. Some people have access to altitude. Some people have access much better access to heat adaptation training, all sorts of things that not everyone has access to. So it's nominally it's out there, but the main reason why I feel like banned substances should be banned substances is because taking them, even though they provide an athletic benefit, is dangerous, right? It's like testosterone, like taking steroids. Yeah, it'll make you better, but it's very dangerous to the human, And so like there's a certain threshold of dangerousness that means like we shouldn't do it, right? Like altitude training changes your blood composition, but like in and of itself, it's not dangerous, like causing permanent harm, right? So that's why that's not illegal, but blood doping is, right? Because there's potential harms in blood doping. Plus, you're also not doing your body's not doing the work of changing your body composition. So there's like a cheating aspect to it that way too. But like all these other substances that are banned, it came up with Sha'Carri Richardson in the situation of THC. There is a benefit. There can be a benefit to it, but is it dangerous? We need to reevaluate that, right? The problem is that some countries partaking in products that have THC is illegal, and so that's another thing too. But like around that, it's like we should really evaluate if let the different countries can decide what is or isn't illegal within their borders. But as far as like sport is concerned, like it's like if it's not conferring benefit and danger, if it's not dangerous to the person, then we need to reevaluate whether something is a problem. So the idea with the enhanced games is that like we're permitting them to do all these things that are very, very bad for them, right? And I think that that's the problem. That's why I don't like it. I don't want to condone it. Like I'm not going to watch a sport where the goal would be to like, I wouldn't watch Bloodsport. As much as I love the movie Bloodsport, I actually wouldn't watch a literal Bloodsport. I'm not super into MMA either, but that's a different subject. But that's kind of what I'm saying. And so that's why I'm not into the enhanced games. Yeah, Frank says the biggest reason for banning stuff is that kids don't do dangerous things. Kids and adults too. I don't want the adults to have to do. I know in the fringes, everything can get gray. I understand that, but like you have to start from like a base premise. I don't know. Super Engine says I agree. No interest in the enhanced Olympics. But I'm not surprised that Peter Thiel is on board. I feel like he just wants to ruin everything. I don't know who that person is, but that's pretty funny. Roberto Munoz says, are you coming to Boston for the 2024 marathon? I am. I'm not going to be running, but I will be around. It's just so much fun that weekend. How could I miss it? You know what I mean? And Go Running Weather had a question, and it looked like a lot of you guys are answering. I think Tony has the answer to that, I would say, but I'll do it for people listening. Go Running Oliver says, when doing Yasso 800s, how long should my recovery be? 90 seconds or 2 minutes? And Tony has said, Yasso is equal rest to work. So if you're running 800s in 3 minutes, then 3 minute rests. Tony says, I prefer a 400 float between reps though. I think that's what a lot of people end up doing. And I think that depending on your jog, 400 meters is usually, so like the Yasso 800 is a lot of like, things are pretty close, right? And so like, is it really a marathon predictor? No, but it's pretty close, right? And the equal rest, like what's the optimal rest for that? Equal work to rest is pretty close. I think to the extent that I've read studies on recovery or perceived full recovery, anything over like 2.5 minutes is pretty much all feels is kind of the same. But which is maybe why a 400 meter float works for you, Tony. But it's kind of easy to remember equal work and recovery. And then I think what I've seen for people that are doing Yasso 800s, if their 800 meter is like more than 4 minutes, then whatever a 400 meter jog is usually again pretty close. So I feel like that's kind of how I generally approach the Yasso 800s. I don't think it's supposed to be like. I don't think like those fine details matter like a ton, Oh, Sacred Dreamcast says, how did your new camera treat you in Orlando? The video is great. It treated me fantastic. So the small thing, two big things. One, the new A6700 is a lot lighter than the FX30. So that's nice. Two, the on button. So the on button on the, I wish I had them down here, A6700, it's actually underneath the shutter. It's a little flip dial. Same thing, I think, with all the A6000 series. So you just flip it on and it turns on, and that's really easy to do. On the FX30, you slide something over and it's got like a little nubbin that's really pointy. And by the end of New York City Marathon, I turned on and off my camera so many times, my thumb hurt. I had like a bruise on it. So that's a really weird situation. But by the end of the day, I found myself using my index finger to pull it over and push it back over because my thumb was hurt from overuse injury. So that was a nice thing about the A6700. And the A6700, I think, is better in body stabilization than the FX30 does. The FX30 isn't meant to be basically like an outdoor sports photography camera. And the A6700 is meant for more kind of like rugged use in certain ways. But stabilization is one way that I think it's a little bit better. So I feel like that helped a little bit. The downside is the FX30, because it's more of like a film videography camera, has separate dials, dedicated dials for ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, where on the 6700, I had to like hit a button to get a menu, and then the jog wheel worked to adjust ISO. Small thing, wasn't huge, but there was a lot of different lighting conditions, either super, super bright or just very bright. And a lot of the shots are just like way, way blown out because I just wasn't able to quickly adjust ISO or any of the other aperture or shutter speed as quickly as I could have on the FX30. But overall, I think I'll continue using the A6700 for my running around and chasing a marathon camera. Scott Stroll says, what did you lose while you were in Orlando? I lost my Insta360 Ace Pro. I don't know where it is. I have some ideas. But yeah, I took it out with me in the evening after the race. And there was a lot of fun after parties. And so it's somewhere in Orlando. Or in the back of a car. Probably fell out of my pocket in a car. You know. I didn't really love that camera anyway. I used it a lot. Really trying to use the what was it, the AI mode, the magic mode, whatever, on it. And it just didn't help that much. I just found it not great. Finny Finvin says, what are your recommendations for a first-timers weekend in Boston? I'm going to do some of the fun stuff without burning myself out before the actual race. Yeah, I would say like try and map out. So like if you can, it's a Monday race, right? So like I'll probably get there Thursday. I don't think most people need to get there. A lot of Thursday stuff seems to be for locals, but like if you still get there like Friday night. Saturday, you could do a little bit of walking around because you still want to explore Newberry Street and see what's there. All the pop-ups will be open. Do your bib early. Then a block down from there when you're at the expo is Newberry Street, and you could do that kind of stuff. Sunday, pick a shakeout run. And then, I'd say you could probably attend another one. Just don't go on the run, hang out, grab a bagel kind of thing. But it's gonna be it's hard. It's hard because you don't want to miss out, so it's hard. But I would say like, don't worry too much about Saturday. Be more disciplined on Sunday, and then get ready to race on Monday. Steve McKellar says, I watched your Yasa video from a couple of years ago. Have you done them since? I do. I think I do them pretty much every marathon training block, like once. Usually twice. Once towards the beginning and once towards the end. I don't make a video about it every time. D0 Aperture says, holy cow, we're on this A6700. I'm still on the A6000. So I lost my A61. So the numbers are not exactly sequential.
there's kind of three models in the A6000 series, like the A6000, A6100. Then there's like A63, A64, and there's like the top end 6000 series, like A65, A66, and now A6700. So like an A6100 is newer than an A6300. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but that's just how it, yeah, I don't know. No one ever asks me how to name stuff, but that's how they named them. But A67 is a newer one, and it is newer than the A6000 and also the 6100, which I lost in Austin or maybe Sacramento. I'm not sure, but I think I lost that one in Austin, so I had to replace it. So I got the A6700. The A6100 I got to use just in studio as like an overhead cam or a second cam if I'm doing multicam live streams or podcasts. So that doesn't have in-body stabilization, but I was like, since I have to replace that camera anyway, I've heard really good things about the in-body stabilization of the A6700, so let's try it. And I'm pretty happy with it. Daniel Estrella says, did you use the Sigma 30 for anything other than the B-rolls? That's it. So anytime you're seeing like nice looking camera footage, like indoors, like all the Track Shack stuff, or at the Hoka pop-up or at Brooks, all that's on the FX30 with a Sigma 30 lens on it, 30 millimeter lens on it. All the race stuff is the A6700 with the 70 to 350 millimeter telephoto. Those are the only two. I brought two camera bodies and two lenses. I didn't have to change the lens a single time, which was actually kind of nice. Matthias says, and we'll have to end with this one. Says, yeah. Well, Calvin says, let's do this first. Calvin says, yeah, the A6100 is newer than the 6300, but we're meant to replace the 6000. Confusing, but it's a staggered update cycle for each tier. Yeah, definitely. I hope that's what I said. You said it much more concisely. All right. Matthias wants to know, Cole, you ever think of doing a B race? You ever think of doing you ever think of doing a race in San Diego? I know you spoke of Carlsbad 5000, but they do have marathons and halves. It's a great city. Maybe you get lost again going to Roadrunner Sports. You know, my wife used to have a conference in San Diego every year, the weekend after Comic-Con. So that's why I used to go to San Diego a lot. She no longer has that conference there anymore. I don't know if they even have that conference anymore. But I know they started moving the city around several years ago. Basically, the year after I got lost trying to find Roadrunner Sports that year. That was about, I think I ran a 20-miler in the Adidas Adios 4 that day. Not the Roadrunner Sports Day, but that weekend, that trip. So that was like 5 years ago maybe. Yeah. So I would love to do a race in San Diego. I thought that this year would be the one. They even changed the course, so there's a train apparently that sometimes you have to worry about. There's no more train that they have to worry about. And they say it's supposed to be even faster. So I'd really like to go, but it always falls in a weird time. I think if I weren't training for London, then it would make more sense and fit in my calendar a little bit better. But because of it's just but you're right. There are other races. I would like to go out there again. It's such a nice place. But we'll see. Louis says just do a running convention in San Diego. Should we do that? Stevie76 says the A6100, the Sony Alpha 6100 camera was just an upper update. That's pretty funny. Actually, I think it was a pretty substantial update. You got 4K 120 out of it. So, no, you didn't. No, I don't think you got 4K 120 out of it. I think it was still 1080 120. So I don't remember what the update was actually. Maybe it was just an upper update. I don't know. All right. I know Tony still got some time on the treadmill, but I think it's a good time to get going for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll give you an update because we're not going to have live streams on Monday or Tuesday. I'll tell you, I got a family vacation, but we can talk about that more tomorrow. But I will see you tomorrow, Friday, same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.